My view on relationships and sexuality is that I believe that sexual deviations have always existed throughout history. And I think that regardless of what you're going through, is that you deserve to have a relationship. You deserve to have a companion if you want to, if that's your life. And you also deserve to have a family and you deserve to have children if you're capable of it, if you are mature enough to do so. And if you don't want those things, nothing can really force you to do so. But I feel kind of bad for some people who say, I don't want children, or I don't want a partner, I don't want a family. And it's like, I imagine all the things they've gone through in their lives, all the bad things that has happened to them, all the negative experiences they've had with their own parents, with their own family and relatives, to the point where they said, you know, they're not going to pursue that in their life. And I pray for those people that they will find a solution and that they will find love. And some people some people who are gay or queer or whatever, there is like two groups of people. Some people don't care about the future. They just want a partner. They just want someone. They just want intimacy. They just want someone to share that with. And when I approach them and I talk to them, I say, like, have you thought about you and your partner getting children later or getting married or whatnot? And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go through that. We're not going to this and that because the world is a effed up place. The world is a sad state. The world is depressing. I'm not going to bring children into this. I'm not going to make taxpayers for the government. Yuck. And some people even say that they hate children and they hate the idea of having them. And I'm just like, wow, your childhood must have been so messed up. You must have seen things that normal people don't see. You must have had things happen to you that made you do this, like think like this. And so I don't care about what sexuality people are. I care about who they are as a person. Because good people and bad people exist in every category of life, in every religion, within every straight and non straight relationship, in every narcissistic group, and in every peaceful non narcissistic. It's everywhere. So it doesn't matter really. What matters is that you are a decent person. And I'm kind of old fashioned because I want to get married. I want to have a decent wife and I want to give my children the opportunity that I never had in my life. And because of that, a lot of people will say I'm old-fashioned, right? But marriage for me is not about a ceremony. It's not about a piece of paper. It's more like the feeling that you want to spend the rest of your life with this person and they love you for who you are and you will develop and grow with that person and you are selfless with this person and you care about them, you care about their well-being and they care about you. I think that's what it's all about. And then at some point when you're mature enough and you've leveled up, you will think that with this person that you love, you will also create something out of that love, which will be the testimony of your love, which will be that child or those children that you bring into this world. And then you will teach them at the best of your ability everything that you were never taught, so that you are an upgraded version of your parents. Because if your parents were broken, if your mother was abused and your father was abusive, or if your father was narcissistic or your mother was greedy, and you saw these things and you saw the hypocrisy of the way that they acted, then sure, yeah, that would deter you from wanting to have children or wanting to be in a relationship because you don't want to repeat the same mistakes as your parents. But when I look at my parents, I think they are an inspiration for me to do better. The dark teacher, essentially. My own mother said to me, I regret having you because of your father, but now that you grew up and you turned out all right, I love you. And that kind of hurt. Like, who wouldn't want their children? Like, why is that a thing? And then it turns out that, originally my mother didn't want to be with my father, but he kind of pushed himself onto her. And then she ended up in a relationship she couldn't escape. And at the age of 4, she essentially walked out the door. And to see this growing up shows in practice how broken society is, how broken dating and relationships are, and how broken the government is for allowing this to happen and encouraging it and spending millions of dollars on propaganda to essentially make these things happen. So I sympathize with all of you who've had a harsh life with your parents. I sympathize with people who don't want children and don't want relationship, but I will encourage you. I will surely I will encourage you to try do the best. Try to be better than your parents. Try to be the better version of that. When it comes to people who treat you bad, you have to essentially make a choice. Are you going to surround yourself with people who makes you bad, or people who belittle you, or people who push you around and push your buttons, people who manipulate you or try to make you feel bad or try to guilt trip? So you have to make a choice, because for me it's like, because I have a best friend, and my best friend is my first friend, and everyone else is secondary to my best friend, and that friend is the divine and God itself. Because God has never betrayed me, never abandoned me, never hurt me, never made me lose my trust ever. So that's my best friend. And then everything else is secondary to that. And so I've lost a lot of people who said that they were my friends. And so it's not so much about enemies and those who've wronged us, because even your best friends or friends can essentially become enemies tomorrow. And so all you can really do is pray for these people and give them room to grow. You have to state your boundaries. You have to defend yourself. You have to not get manipulated by these people. So the most powerful thing you can do is to say no. Don't try to cater to them. Don't be a yes man. Don't just agree to everything. Just be like, you know what? No. I will defend myself. I will state my boundaries. If they get mad at you for saying no, then maybe they're not your friend. Enemies will always exist, because you can't do good things without racking up a bunch of nemesis and rivals. I think it was Churchill who said it. And so, like, when you do good things, there will be haters. And when you do bad things, there will be people who like you doing bad things. And so, there are no enemies. That's the illusion. That's the idea. So there is no such thing as an enemy. That is, it is. There's only one enemy left, and the enemy is ignorance. And ignorance is darkness, and darkness is everywhere, and it hides inside the mind of all people. Ignorance is rampant. Ignorance is everywhere because people don't know what they don't know. People don't even know about their own emotions. Some people don't even have words for emotions. Some people don't even have an inner dialogue. Some people don't have an inner monologue. Some people don't even have thoughts inside their heads. So they're all technically ignorant. Some people don't even know like what a fart is. Imagine you're sitting and you just hear a noise and you're like, "What was that? What was that thing? I've never. Oh, what's that smell? Ooh, where did that come from?" Like that's where we're at today. People don't know anything about themselves, about their psyche, about behavioral science, about psychology. They don't know. So ignorance is the enemy. I don't hate people. I don't despise people. I just don't like what they're doing. I love people. I expect the best from them. I want what's good for them, but they don't always want what's good for me. And there was a quote that I read earlier like I took people with me as I was going to the top, but those people didn't want to see me at the top. And so I had to let them go because they were detrimental to my health. And they think that they've claimed the moral high ground by slandering, talking shit, and backstabbing, and grouping up, and having an intervention, and trying to change me, trying to micromanage my life. And I look at these people and I say to them, worry about yourself, worry about your life and what you're doing, because I am on a different journey than you are, and I am miles ahead, years ahead, and you live in a fantasy land. I live in the real world with some stretches. So there are no enemies. There is nothing you can do about it. All you can do is just let it go. One thing that I've learned over the years is that if you have someone in your life who is clingy, who is dependent on you, who is sucking your energy out of you, all you got to do is give them some space and just say, you know what? I'm going to be working on something right now. I'm going to go on a vacation. I'm going to set myself to do not disturb. I'm going to turn off my phone for a moment. I'm going to set my phone to airplane mode. I'm going to take a step out. I'm going to go out into the forest for 4 hours, 8 hours, 16 hours. I'm going to just leave, okay? Just do that. Just give them a little sample, a little appetizer, okay? So you just walk away and just stop talking to them for a while. And then notice what happens when you're not there for them. Notice what happens when they can't get a hold of you. Notice how they act, what they say, and what they do when they can't get hold of you. And then judge them based on that behavior. Am I worthy of this? Do I deserve this treatment? This behavior from this person? And then you just say, you know what? All I asked for was a couple of hours of peace. And I turned off my phone. I left the internet. I went outside. And now I'm back. And I found out that you did all of these things without me being here. And you failed. You know what I'm saying? You failed the basic human decency test. So you should do that with people from time to time. And you should see if people respect you for who you are, or if they're trying to change you and mold you and shape you into something that you're not. If people want you to do bad things, if they want you to bully people, ostracize people, gang up on people, if they want you to do nasty things and you just go along with it because you're a yes man, then you need to learn to state your boundaries and say no. You have to learn how to defend yourself. Because if you're afraid of conflict, you're not going to learn how to deal with conflicts. You're not going to learn how to resolve conflicts. So you have to learn something about human interaction, social interaction, and enemies. Your own relatives could be enemies. Your own family, your own friends could be enemies. You just don't know it because they are close to you. And they're keeping you close just to suck you dry and make you feel like shit. And when you know who makes you feel bad, then you gotta think about another question as well. Don't worry about how you feel while you're talking to a person, but rather, what is the feeling that you're left with when they're gone? If someone makes you feel bad after they're gone, that's a warning sign. To live spiritually in this world is to be disciplined, to not just endlessly scroll through content, to not just endlessly try to fill up your brain with something. It is essentially being patient and taking a stance away from things like porn consumption and fast food consumption and consumption overall, like buying useless crap, buying plastic junk, a little bit of a feng shui with simplicity and minimalism, because everything in the world is constantly trying to distract you away from your own essence, your own heart, your own spirit. It's constantly bombarding you to the point where even when you are, let's say you're playing a video game and you love this game, right? But at some point in the game, you're like, I've been playing this way too much. I've been doing this activity way too much. It's a dopamine rebalance inside your brain with the dopamine and serotonin. And so you have to take dopamine fasting. You have to take a break from certain things, because if you only do fun things all the time, even those things becomes boring. And you have to discipline yourself. You have to choose the harder path, the more difficult path, rather than the easy path. Because as it is right now, a lot of people don't even know how to cook or how to do simple things anymore. And because of that, it is easier to order fast food or go to restaurants than it is to cook, right? It's convenient. But a restaurant visit or takeaway food should be a reward. It should be a reward for you working hard and not a daily occurrence, right? Because if you only eat restaurant food all the time, you will drain your bank account. And who can afford paying $40 per day for the same stuff you can buy for like $5 at the shop, right? And so that's the same thing with games or entertainment or watching YouTube videos. It's that if you only watch YouTube videos all the time and TikTok and brain rot, then eventually it's going to lose its meaning. It's going to lose its essence, and your brain becomes dependent on this flow of brain rot, and you have to fill that up in your head in order to feel normal. It becomes an addiction essentially. So you need to give yourself some peace. You have to give yourself some room and take a step back and realize that, you know, does your phone own you or do you own your phone? That's modern spirituality.